Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Greciancast. I'm your host, Tom Picillo, and today I'm joined by Sam Parks and Wycombe Wanderers fan Alex Gregor to launch our second season of the podcast and react to the announcement of City's fixture list ahead of the 2023-24 season, including our opening round of the Carabao Cup and, of course, the prestigious, the illustrious, the world-famous Papa John's Trophy, which we're all really looking forward to, of course. We've also had our first summer signing walk through the door. So later in the pod, we'll talk about how Vincent Harper can fit into Gary Caldwell's system. But before all of that, it's been a little while. We've not recorded a Greciancast for quite some time. It's not been too long, but Sam, how are you coping without your weekly fixture of Exeter City?
Good. It's a little bit sad though. You know, I miss the boys. I miss every Saturday and the occasional Tuesday. But you know, there's been plenty of drama over the summer break. We've got Adidas kits on the way, a couple new sponsors. Fixtures out today. They do look very good, and even a signing before pre-season, which is a first in a while for the Grecians. But yeah, very excited to getting back on track next season.
Yeah, Alex, most people look forward to the summer. Most normal people look forward to the sun, the holidays, whatever it might be. Us football fans, though, I think we're missing our football.
Well, today kind of feels like the start of the new season in a way. Kind of already, even if we're into June. For the last 20 minutes in this chat, we've been chatting about away games, where we're trying to get to for this season. It already feels like we're planning kind of March, April time. Nearly a year ahead, but today kind of start the new season. Carabao Cup, Exeter Trophy, or Papa John Trophy, whatever it's called nowadays, and more importantly, League One. Finally, everything's getting lined up for the new season ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned it there, Alex. EFL fixtures were released today, and all of League One's fixtures were announced, which means that we now get to take a little look of where we're heading at the start of the campaign, a little bit further through, and then towards the end as well. So we all got to play our little game that we play every season, almost certainly wrongly predicting City's first fixture of the season. I went for Oxford away, a trip to the Kassam. I thought that felt inevitable. Sam, you went for Leyton Orient away. We were both wrong. We actually got Alex Gregor's Wycombe Wanderers away in the first game of the season. I'll come to you first, Sam. Wycombe, a side that did quite well last year, better under Gareth Ainsworth than in the second half of the season. But it will be a tricky opener. Wycombe finished 9th last season, 8 points off the playoffs. But they didn't actually manage to beat us last season. So it's a bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah, it is a bit of a mixed bag. You know, I think Wycombe were very patchy last season. They didn't start well. They got really good in the middle. Won a lot of games, and then it kind of dropped off again a little bit at a crucial time at the end. But they're a very, very good team. They're well drilled, and you know, Gareth Ainsworth, he may have left, but definitely has a big influence on the way the team still plays. For an opening fixture, definitely a good one. I'm really excited about this one. Haven't done Wycombe. Not heard the greatest things about the ground, which I'm sure Alex will argue against me with.
Bad. But honestly, it's a worldie, but
I've heard that it's in a little industrial estate down the side of Wycombe. Is that right?
At the end. Yeah, it's right at the end of the industrial estate. But it's next to the greenery and stuff. It's not just kind of shoved the right way in the corner.
Yeah. How are you feeling about it, though? Obviously, from a Wycombe fan's perspective, Alex, you must be looking at Exeter at home and thinking,
it's not a bad way to start the season. If you're comparing it to people, I'll say Ipswich, they've gone up obviously, but like Derby, Bolton, and Barnsley, someone like that, I'd much rather start Exeter at home, obviously. But as Tom, as you mentioned earlier, we had to beat Exeter last season. A draw at home and a loss away at St James's Park. It's not going to be an easy game whatsoever. So, but a few summer signings, obviously the manager situation you mentioned as well. Gareth Ainsworth out, Matt Bloomfield in. It's going to be interesting to see how we go this season.
Yeah, how do you feel about Bloomfield's tenure as Wycombe manager? Obviously, he was captain for years. Goodness knows how many appearances he made.
In 2003, made 600 appearances for the club. Well, it's interesting because Ainsworth, when he first came in, nearly got us relegated out of the Football League. We survived on goal difference to Bristol Rovers. So you got to give him time, considering he's got us ninth. We were in the playoff hunt till about 3 or 4 games to go against teams like Bolton, Derby, Barnsley, Wednesday, Peterborough. These are all Portsmouth. These are all teams huge compared to Wycombe. Like we've had one of these in the Championship in our lives. And that was incredible. We got that. That's a highlight. So to even compete with those kind of teams on a regular basis is amazing. And if Blues will carry on those times, I'm fine with that. If it gets to mid-table, to be honest, that's not the end of the world. We're building another project.
Yeah, in terms of starting the away days for the 23-24 season, I think it's quite a good one. It's not too far from Exeter. Obviously, I'm going to be in London next year, so it'll be a bit of a shorter trip for me. But even for those coming from Exeter, I don't think Wycombe's too bad. It's not a bad away day, decent-sized stadium as well. Not sure about the Scran. We'll have to see about that. But
it's quite good
Sam,
outside the ground.
Yeah, Sam, you're our away day connoisseur. How are you going to rate it?
I don't know, probably like a 6 out of 10. It's near London, so not too bad. Food dependent is a big one, but it's opening day. It's always going to be a good one, away day following wise. So yeah, I'm excited to be there for this one, and excited to kick off the season.
Absolutely. And our second game of the season and our first at SJP, our curtain raiser at the park, is against Blackpool, newly relegated Blackpool, of course, who had a really torrid time in the Championship. Didn't do a great job, to be honest. They brought in Mick McCarthy and he couldn't keep them up. They ended up going down, reappointed Neil Critchley, who did brilliantly with them when they were in League One, of course, got them promoted out of that division. But since then, I mean, they've obviously been relegated into League One at risk of losing a few of their decent players. Charlie Patino's obviously gone back to Arsenal, who was arguably their player of the season. Josh Bowler, I believe, has also gone back to Nottingham Forest. So they'll be struggling a little bit, but they are a big club, Blackpool. You'd probably expect them to be up there at the end of the season. How do you think we'll do against the Seasiders, Sam?
Well, it's a tough one. A really, really tough one. Blackpool, they will lose some players going down, but at the end of the day, they're a big club and you'd expect them to be up there at the end of the season. It's a really, really tough one for the Grecians. But we've seen them get big results the last season against teams like this, especially at home. So, the chances are always there. But yeah, this is a really tough one to start.
Yeah, Alex, they've been on some whirlwind journey, haven't they? Since the last time we played them in the league was, of course, that playoff final when they beat us at Wembley and they went on to get promoted to League One. Since then, they've been promoted to the Championship. We've been promoted to League One and they've been relegated back to League One. So it's been a little while since we played them in the league. But Blackpool as a club, again, same question to you, really. Where do you think they'll end up at the end of the season?
I mean, it's hard to look past kind of edge of playoffs, I'm going to say. I think Patino's a big loss. He was a star for them last year, even despite the fact they got relegated. Big things kind of expected from him for a lot of people, from Championship fans. But they've still got the recruitment. Like, they're still always in and around. They're one of those teams where you never know what league they're in. Kind of like Rotherham. I've got no idea what league Rotherham are in half the time. Is it League One, the Championship? They're kind of a bit like that, Blackpool. So they'll always get up in the playoffs. I think that big loss of Patino will drag them down a little bit. So I'll say 8th, 9th kind of area. Edge of playoffs, maybe sneaking in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with Blackpool coming to SJP, I think because it will be our opening game of the season, you'll get that little boost that SJP does give to the players. So hopefully that takes us on to a good result at the start of the campaign. But throughout the rest of August, we also travel to Portsmouth on a Tuesday night, then Carlisle United away, which is a horrible trip. Fair play to anybody making that journey. I certainly won't be. And then we face newly relegated Reading at home. Now, I think that's a pretty tricky run of opening run of games. A couple of winnable games in there. I think maybe we can get points from all of them, possibly. But I'm looking at really Carlisle is kind of the only game that you'd say is we're maybe going in as favourites for.
You said Carlisle, I think they're going to go in as favourites. But I don't think your back's against any of them either. It's not like, I don't think you'll get thrashed any of them. I think you'll be in all the games. It's just if you can capitalise on that at home, especially against Blackpool and Reading.
Yeah, Sam.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think Portsmouth will be a tougher one than people think. They didn't have the best season, but they've gone out strong already in this summer transfer window. I think it's 6 or so signings already for Pompey. So they look really up for it for the next season. Not the greatest run in to start really for the Grecians, but, it's better than that April we've just come off the back of in the end of last season. So I'm sure the Grecians will take it. And yeah, there is a few winnable games in there.
Yeah, you mentioned Pompey there. I think that they'll be right up there come the end of the season. I think they've got an ambitious manager in John Mousinho, a big club that really does deserve to be up there. Made some great signings already. The goalkeeping department was an area that they needed to improve upon. Matt Macy wasn't really cutting it for Pompey last year. They've gone out and bought Will Norris, who's come in from Burnley, I believe, after a spell at Peterborough last year. Really good goalkeeper who's definitely going to improve them. A few other positions they've really tried to improve that as well. Reading, difficult one to call this one because obviously they're experiencing a few problems at the moment. We don't really know where they're going to end up. I don't want to speculate about any potential sanctions that could be given on them. But Reading, a side that are struggling a little bit off the pitch at the moment, perhaps a side that we could get a few points off of. We'll have to wait and see. It's an interesting run-in, a few games to start the season. Anyway, moving on though, festive period, a period where I think football fans enjoy themselves more than anyone really, because December really is just saturated by a load of festive fixtures that everybody enjoys. And we've got a few tasty games to look forward to after tucking into our roast turkey. We've got Wycombe again. Wycombe at home on Boxing Day. One that I'm really looking forward to. Definitely will be there. I think it makes it 7 years on the bounce that City have had a home game on Boxing Day now, which is unbelievable. I don't know how we managed to keep up that record, but keep it coming because I love traveling to SJP on Boxing Day. One of my favourite things to do. I think we're all looking forward to that one, particularly you, Alex, of course.
Yeah, as a Wycombe fan, unfortunately I won't be there due to other engagements back in Australia, but coming down to SJP, Boxing Day fixture is always going to be nice. It'd be interesting where both teams are at that stage of the season. Obviously, it's impossible to predict that kind of result. What will be 6 months in the future? God knows how both teams start. We don't know who transfers are. Obviously, Exeter have made one. Wycombe yet to make a signing this summer. Interesting how their season start, and we can go from there.
Yeah, absolutely, Sam.
Yeah, I think it's another sort of one like that. I think what's happening in terms of the season is going to matter a lot at that point. If Exeter are in good form or if Wycombe have really kicked on like they did mid-season this season, it's going to be interesting. But, home at Boxing Day, it's always what you want. And I'm sure SJP will be packed out for that one. So, yeah, home on Boxing Day, main thing for me, but really a decent fixture.
And then a really exciting one, Reading on New Year's Day, which is going to be really good. Reading away, of course. So that's going to be some journey for the fans to take on the train. Very easy, I will say. Apparently they're making this new train station, pretty much, especially for the Select Car Leasing Stadium, which looks pretty cool. And a game that I'm really looking forward to. I think Reading is a big club in this division, and we've already spoken about them a little bit. But I'm certainly looking forward to that one. And then to close the season, it's a much, much easier run-in than we had last season. To finish this year, Cheltenham away, Stevenage at home, Port Vale away, Northampton away, and then Oxford at home. That's a much easier run-in. And to be honest, I think it's probably safe to say that no matter what position we find ourselves in, and no matter what goals we have at the end of the season, I think that little run of fixtures come the end of the year will make whatever our goals are a little bit easier to achieve, Sam.
Yeah. There's always the other side of that where you look at the teams in there and some of them, could be in that relegation battle. We don't know whether we will or not. Hopefully not, with Gary's recruitment that's happening over the summer, hopefully. But, it's a better run-in. It's 5 on paper winnable matches. I think Oxford will have a better season, so that one might be a bit of a tough one. But the other 4, all winnable fixtures down there. Cheltenham losing Alfie May, Port Vale winnable fixture. and it's a much better run-in, and it's exactly what Caldwell's men will want at the end of the season, no matter what circumstances they're in.
Yeah, a nice away day to finish as well. Northampton away. When did we last see that? Of course, the year that we got promoted. And run it back, because that was some away day. Really good one. Probably my favourite that I've been on with City. So looking forward to that one. Away from the league and towards the cups. Now, the Carabao Cup draw was today, 2:30. We were all sat down watching it. I think it was Michael Dawson and Danny Cowley picking the balls out of the hat. And wow, what an underwhelming
start. Most dull Carabao Cups I've ever seen.
Yeah, Crawley Town at home. This is incredibly dull, but it does give us a good chance of getting to the second round, which is where the Premier League teams come in. Either way, Crawley to start the season, it's not ideal, Sam.
No, not a very exciting tie at home. Really, really boring tie. But hopefully, fingers crossed, it means a win and into the second round. That is, that is the other side of playing someone boring and in the league below. Hopefully a win, hopefully into the second round, and then hopefully onto a big boy.
Yeah, Crawley are a bit of a mess at the moment, Alex. I think that's safe to say.
Yeah.
You're probably going to fancy City in that one.
Oh, City go as comfortable favourites. I think the crypto guy is still there, isn't he, in charge? Or something he got sold. He is still there. They're a mess at the moment. How they didn't get relegated last season is beyond me, to be honest. I think that was more Rochdale and whoever it was. Was it Harrogate in the end who went down?
Yeah, it was Hartlepool in the end.
Hartlepool sent Harrogate. Yeah, but I mean, that's more them being bad than Crawley being good, to be honest. I think they go down as one of the favourites to get relegated from League Two this season. City would comfortably favourites for that one.
Yeah, good stuff. So that's the Carabao, and hopefully we get a good draw in the second round. Much better than the opening round that we got there. But then we've also got the prestigious Papa John's Trophy, of course. Reading at home, Swindon away, and Arsenal under-21s at home. It's a competition that if you get further in,
it's a competition. That's all you can say about it.
Yeah, it's a competition that if you get further into, you care about a little bit more. I think the Arsenal under-21s game is going to be quite fun. But yeah, we got those fixtures as well to think about. Won't spend too long on those. But away from the fixture release list and towards the summer business, because a lot of League One clubs have been doing a lot of early business, which has kind of forced us, I think, into doing a bit of business early on as well. So Vincent Harper has arrived on a 2-year deal with an option of a 3rd year from Eastleigh, all for an undisclosed fee, which is inevitable. They're always undisclosed, aren't they? But it does mean that we've paid money for him, which is a bit of a rarity for City. It doesn't always happen. But from what I can see, he looks like a really talented player. Arrives from Eastleigh, of course, a former Bristol City academy player. 71 appearances for Eastleigh, 5 goals. Not the best goal return, but he's a left back, can play left wing back as well. The stats that I really want to look at, and there's a great statistical analyst. He's called Tom Williams, Notts County fan, absolutely brilliant. I follow him on Twitter, and he's compiled a load of stats about this guy because Notts County were interested in him, and some of his stats look really good. Defensively, slide tackles are out of this world. It brings a bit of housery to the team. He would have been one of Matt Taylor's superstars. Gary Caldwell loves a little defender who can tackle as well. And also his interceptions, absolutely fantastic. On the flip side of things, he's also really, really good at creating and attacking. In terms of dribbling, he's amongst the highest in the National League, and the same can be said about his successful attacking actions per 90. As I said, all of those stats from Notts County fan and analyst Tom Williams. Give him a follow on Twitter if you fancy. But Sam, I'll come to you first. Vincent Harper, I'm really excited about this signing. I think he looks like a really good kind of sign that we should be making, because he looks talented and we sound ambitious from what it looks like, at least.
Yeah, it's a good signing. I think there'll be a few fans out there who are a little bit disappointed because he's not a big name. We see all these other clubs getting big names at the moment, big free agents, but he's one for the future, I think. Jack Sparks off. So, you need that backup left back, and putting him as number 2 behind Dimitri Mitchell is absolutely perfect for both the club and his development. He's a very similar sort of player by the looks of things to Dimmy. Both really good attackingly, and then they've got that defensive attribute as well when needed. And yeah, if he's behind someone like Dimitri Mitchell, learning from him in, day out, Dimitri Mitchell's played from Man United to Hibs, Blackpool, some big clubs. So perfect person to learn off, a really good signing for the future. And yeah, I'm excited for this prospect.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Dimitri Mitchell there, because Kevin Nicholson did as well. He said that he's very similar to Dimitri Mitchell, very direct as well, which is something that I like to see from my wing backs. Kev also said that he's coming here with a skill set and the tools to compete to get into our first team right now, but he's also nowhere near his ceiling. Is this the kind of signing that you'd want to see Wickham make as well, Alex?
Oh, it seems like a good signing, to be honest. As pretty much echo exactly what Sam said. He seems like a good backup for now. And Mitchell's one of the best players second half of the season, not just in his ability, but the kind of way he played on the ball, his attacking, his directness, Tom. So to have that kind of player to take over naturally when Mitchell leaves is perfect for Exeter. The only reservations I'd have is he's 22, which isn't old, admittedly, but you're saying he's one for the distant future. He's not quite as young as you think he is. But, I mean, if that's the only kind of star next to his name, that's a good signing.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at the reviews that he was getting from these Eastleigh fans, and overwhelmingly positive. They were gutted to lose him. It was inevitable that they were going to lose him, but he's been fantastic over the last year, and I'm really excited to have him in the team. I think he'll be a really good addition. And to be fair, after losing Jack Sparks, we were a little bit depleted in the wing-back area. Only really had Dimitri Mitchell and Jake Caprice as our recognised wing-backs. If you think that we're going to lose Josh Key, which looks pretty inevitable now, I think that the signing of Harper is going to be really good. So looking forward to that. And also a little bit of transfer gossip. We're also linked with a goalkeeper called Viliami Sinisalo. I hope I didn't butcher that. It sounded pretty good. He's a young goalkeeper from the Aston Villa Academy. He's it one cap for Finland as well. So he's actually got a senior international cap after a defeat to Estonia, which albeit isn't great, but it is an international cap. And in terms of his prior experience, he's had a bit of time on loan at Ayr United, so that's the Gary Colwell Scotland link for you. And he's also spent time at Burton Albion as well. Goalkeeper is obviously a position that we need to replace. Gary Woods has signed a contract extension for another year, but Jamal Blackman's off. I don't know where he'll go. Some people say that he's off to America. If he is, then enjoy, Jamal. I'm sure you'll love it back on stateside. But Sinisalo, I quite like the look of him. Young goalkeeper. It feels like it would be a bit underwhelming if it was on loan, though. You feel like a goalkeeper with not much experience, and you wouldn't even get to keep him to mould him to the future. What do you reckon, Sam?
Yeah, I think, on paper, he's a good keeper by the sounds of things. I don't know too much, but, on loan from a Prem team, he's got that EFL experience, like you said, which is always a plus if you're loaning in a keeper from a Prem team. But yeah, City have missed that permanent goalkeeper in the past years. Cam Dawson was so good. We all wanted him to stay, but he returned back, and now he's in the Championship with Sheffield Wednesday. Jamal Blackman, he was decent last season, but once again, just a one-season thing. A bit annoying that it's not a permanent move, but, a good keeper for another year. No one's going to turn down, I think, at Exeter City.
Yeah, I would like us to have a proper long-term permanent goalkeeper, though, and maybe that sounds a bit ambitious, doesn't it? But I don't necessarily think it is. I think there are some good goalkeepers out there in the market at the moment.
I think my argument to that, though, Tom, is that not what Harry Lee becomes in a couple of years' time?
Yeah, possibly.
Perhaps you do loan in for the next year or two. Harry Lee developed into that number one goalkeeper that is there for the long-term future.
Yeah, it's a fair point, to be fair, Alex. I mean, if you bring in a long-term first-choice option, then maybe that does stump the progress of Harry Lee slightly, especially when you look beyond this season. So it might be something that Gary Caldwell and Kevin Miller are looking at. So perhaps that 1 year deal for Sinisalo would be a good move. I think obviously not yet tested in this division, but plenty of Aston Villa youth appearances. We'll have to wait and see, really.
He was at Burton, wasn't he, before? Didn't play a huge amount, though, is the only thing I'd say. He only played 4 games in the season.
Yeah, he didn't have a great time.
Played 4 games, conceded 10 goals in those 4 games. So not only was he not the number one, when he did step in, he had a nightmare of games.
Yeah, but he is fancied by Villa. I know that they see a long-term future for him at Villa, but I doubt he'll ever replace Emi Martinez in goal for Villa. But he's clearly a player with a bit of talent, and hopefully we can, if we do end up signing him, then we can mould him into a decent player. A few other players that we're linked with as well. Ben Purrington. Not heard too much about him. Coming in from Scotland yet again. The McGrecians will continue to roll. But one McGrecian who left, of course, Kevin McDonald, didn't sign a contract extension, was offered a contract, but he's gone off to Bradford City. And, that's 2 League One quality standard players that have left the Grecians to join the Bantams. Firstly, Sam Stubbs, now Kevin McDonald. It's becoming a bit of a trend. But, Sam, you must be disappointed to lose K-Mac.
Yeah, it's annoying. Experience-wise, he's a very experienced player. He would have been great both on the pitch and off the pitch for the young players to learn off as well. Obviously, I think this one came down to money by the looks of things. Bradford, a big club. They've gone out and bought a few players. Looks like they finally want to make this push up. We know how competitive League Two is going to be this year. But yeah, a real shame to see him go. He was good during his short spell, grabbed a few important goals, one against Wickham.
Which League One away day are you looking forward to most, Sam?
It's a tough one. You know what? This season, because I missed it last season and I was gutted about it, Rovers. I missed Rovers last season. I was away. I couldn't make it happen. This season, I know I'll be there, all sorted. So Rovers this season, and hopefully we'll get a 4-3 again. Out of the new boys, probably, we'll go with Reading. One that City haven't seen for a while. So Reading and Rovers are my 2.
I agree with you on Reading. I also think Leyton Orient. I didn't do it Leyton Orient back when they were in League Two. Yeah, a really fun one, I think. Heading over to East London, a few jelly deals or whatever. I'm not even sure if that's the same part of London. But I think it'll be really good fun. I'm looking forward to Leyton Orient. Alex, you're heading off to Australia.
Yeah, you'll find me in the Sydney FC away ends.
I was going to say, you've got a little choice of your
I've been looking around literally during today, having a look which the local team. Sydney FC is walkable distance for me.
Yeah.
You'll find me at the Allianz Stadium, I think it's called.
Amazing.
Against watching Jack Rodwell, who's there.
Yeah, wow. Well, there we go. Not everybody gets that privilege of watching Jack Rodwell on a weekly basis. On that note, anyway, we'll bring the episode to an end. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back in the coming weeks. We'll try and record episodes every week heading up to the new season. We'll always have something to talk about, I'm sure. What with the transfer window about to slam open, and lots more to look forward to. Of course, pre-season coming up as well, which will be great fun. But enjoy your summer. It's really nice weather out there, so get outside and hopefully can look forward to seeing you all back on the terraces at SJP and away grounds around the country. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you all next time. Cheerio.